G'day guys. I built a privacy screen a few years ago to cover a hot water system that's in the side of my house, and it was pretty ugly, I suppose. There's nothing on there, so I decided to make a few pots and put plants in there just to add a bit of colour. So I just filled them up with some portulacas, and I think they look fantastic, but I'm going to make some more today and I want to show you how I've done it. So I just use formula tins as my pots because I think they're a perfect size, and I've got a little baby, so we go through a lot of these and it's a shame to waste them. So I think they're absolutely perfect for this job, and I'm sure you might know someone with a baby who's on formula, so ask them to keep your pots, and I think that these they add a little bit of colour to your garden, and I think they look fantastic. So the first thing you've got to do is to put some drainage holes in the bottom so your water can run out, and I've just got a slab of timber here so I don't drill into my table, and you want to drill in from the top so that your water comes down, because if you're drilling from the bottom it'll actually push the tin upwards, so the water will sit a couple of mil above it and just potentially rust it out. So you want to put 5, 10 holes, however many you want, and I've used a 5mm drill bit, so I think it's a perfect size for me. So now we've got our drainage holes, and it's time to give it a sand, and I've got 120 grit here, which will rip that gloss off to give the paint something to stick to. So that's done. Just got to give it a quick clean, and I just hit it with a bit of metho just to try and get rid of any grease and any of those shavings, those little metal shavings. Alright, so now we're ready to give it some paint, and last time with the red pots that I made I just used metal spray paint, but this time I'm just going to paint out of a can because I've got some different colours just at home, and these are just leftover sample pots that I've had lying around, so I'm going to give them a go. It may work, may not, but I didn't want to waste them, so I've got a bit of yellow and a bit of light blue, so I think that they'll look really nice against the red ones. So I'll just let that dry out in the sun and then give it a second coat, and then we're going to put a clear over the top to protect it. So I've finished my 2 coats on the pots, and I've found 4 cans of clear in my shed that haven't really got that much left in them, so that'll be perfect to go ahead and to just paint over the top of this to give it some gloss and also to protect the paint a little bit. And obviously you want to wear a mask and do the painting outside where there's plenty of airflow, because there's some pretty bad stuff in these for your lungs. So I'll go ahead now, paint these up, and then we'll go on to the next thing. So I've got the clear coat on all of our pots and they look fantastic. So the next thing we're going to do is I've put a bit of drainage gravel in the base, just so that water can flow freely from the soil through the gravel and out the bottom. But you can use any rocks you've got around, probably small is better just for the weight. But I've found that I've got a lot of drainage gravel floating around, so I've just used that. So I've just covered the base of the pot, and that should be plenty enough. And now we're going to add some soil. So now that I've got my rocks in there, I've made up a mixture of soil and compost, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill up these pots. So we've also got to just drill a little tiny hole in the back of the pot, so that we can put a screw through it into the timber. And it just wants to be probably 10mm down from the top of the lid, just so you can get an angle from the top and to drill it in. So obviously once you decide where you want your pots, you just have to screw them in. Now for my pots they're a little bit difficult because they've got this lip here and it does make it a little bit hard to get that screw in, but if you just place the screw in by hand first, it does help. And I've had to use this long shank Phillips bit on my drill just so I can get that angle to get it in. So I've started mounting these pots here and you can see that I've mounted them sort of below each other, and that's just because once I water these top ones it'll actually flow through and then drip down and irrigate the plants underneath. So I've still got plenty of pots to make, but I think it's starting to look really good, and it's just sort of made this bland wall pop with colour, and once all the flowers are in there it's just going to look incredible. So have some fun with it, get the kids painting the tins. I think it's a great activity for the kids, especially over school holidays. And I think that, you know, you can put it on a fence line or anywhere really that needs that pop of colour, and pick some nice flowers, considering that it may be in the sun or in the shade, and obviously get plants that are going to suit those positions. And I think it can come up really good.